Hi, Sophia. How are you today? I hear you are sick. I hope you feel better. I will just acknowledge right now, I am a ghost today, and my head is falling off because it got like chopped off, you know, kind of almost nearly headless, like Harry Potter, nearly headless Nick. That is the long story short. If you have questions, I will answer them next week. All right, so I believe we left off on the D string. We had learned, so we have open D, we have first finger, second finger F sharp, and third finger G. So if you think about a scale, we are literally halfway there, because let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know those 4 already, and here's the other 4. And that's a complete scale. And I have a secret for you. So you remember our secret sign, I hope. I apologize, I am also getting sick. So we have our secret sign. And so we have, right? That's on the D string. And now guess what? Watch this on the A string. Oh, sorry. It's exactly the same. It's the same thing. So basically, now that you know what you're doing on the D string, you're gonna do the same thing on the A string. And you're just gonna have different note names for it. Yeah, I'm also getting very distracted looking at this also. If you look at your book, I don't have a copy of your book in front of me, but I believe it has, if you flip the page from where we were, if you flip it, it'll say, like the A string. So it'll say A, and then it'll have the notes B, C sharp, and D. And since you know second finger is F sharp on the D string, I bet you can guess what finger C sharp is. So your book should be pretty self-explanatory as far as that, but I will play it and hopefully you can try it with me. And I know you do this thing still. You are free to not do that because you are doing great and I feel like you have mastered it. So thumbs up, put it here, and get ready to pluck away. So we have D, now E, F sharp, and G, and now we're on the A string and we're gonna do the same thing. So A, B, C sharp, D, and then we go down. So you keep your fingers there, put them back if you already took them away, and we're gonna go D, C sharp, B, open A, now D string, G, F sharp, E, open D. All right, air high five, because I'm sure you just did awesome. And feel free to pause this video and, you know, like practice that a little bit. Or just like, you know, look at your book. Your book should have some songs, just like it did for the D string when we're learning those notes. Should have a short little selection of songs that you can play just on the A string. So look at those. I want you to practice them. And I would like you to continue to practice the D string. And if you are, you know, still your superstar self and you get through all the A string ones and you're like, dude, I got the A string down, I got the D string down, you can move on in your book. There will be, I think probably 1.5 to 2 pages of songs where it's all on the A string and the D string. And you just practice those. And there's a whole bunch of them and they're really fun. And I am going to start teaching you a little bit about the bow. And we're not going to use it yet. This is just kind of like a warm-up type thing. Kind of like how when we start learning about the violin, we literally learn about the violin and then we start working on holding it and then plucking it, you know? So it's the same thing with the bow. So I'm going to tell you the names of it. This is the tip. And this is the bow hair. This is made out of horsehair. And you don't want to touch it with your fingers because your fingers have oils. And if you get it onto the hair of the bow, and especially if you get too much, it won't collect the rosin anymore and it won't be able to produce a sound. It'll be, we call it like if you had soap on your bow, which some people used to do. That's a long story. Ask me about it next class. To basically make no sound. So it'll look like you're playing. That's what movie people do. They look like they're playing, but they're not, because their bows don't have anything to make sound with. So that brings me to, actually, I'll talk about rosin in a second. So, this is the frog, and we call this the frog eye. You can see why it looks like a little frog eye. And this is, I don't know if it has a name. I just call it the screw. This is the screw by the frog, and then this is like a little finger grip. And so anyway, you turn the screw righty-tighty, and if you can see, let me see if I can show you. So right now I'm loosening it, so see my hairs are all floppy. You always want to put your bow away with floppy hairs, not like they're about to like literally fall off, but like floppy enough. See, I can wiggle it and they kind of move. So that's what you want, because if you put it away tight, which I'll show you in a second. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you right now. I'm tightening it. You can see it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So I'm just turning the screw until, this is the only time you can kind of touch your bow hairs. Right in the middle of the, there we go, right in the middle of the bow. I take my pinky finger and I put it right in the middle. And if it's about the width of my pinky, like that, it's perfect. And that's how tight you want your bow when you're playing and when you're rosining, because it makes it easier. Yes, so that's how you want it when you're playing, so you can actually make some good sounds. But when you put it away, you want to make sure you loosen it. And the reason for that is if you put it away tight, you could see in the frog, there's this little tiny piece of cork. So literally the only thing that's holding these hairs in is that cork and some glue. And you don't want it to pop out. Then you have no bow and you have to get it rehaired, and it's a whole process and it costs a lot of money. So instead of having to deal with that and replace our bows way sooner, we just loosen it up. And it's not bad, it's good for it. Gives it a little break. It's like if you were constantly stretching and you were doing it to your like fullest potential for like, I don't know, an hour, however long you're playing, and then somebody was like, okay, turning off the lights, walking away, and they left you like that, and they like didn't put you back down, like if you were a doll or something, you would be sad. And you would be mad at your owner. And you would not play well for them the next time. So anyway, I'm gonna talk about rosin now. This is what my rosin looks like. All right, so here's a little lesson on what not to do. I left this in the car and it was kind of warm. So it is now slightly misshapen. It is still usable. It's not really that big of a deal, but ideally you don't want to leave rosin in the car or your violin because it's not good for it. Yeah, this used to be like a perfect circle. So clearly that's not how it is anymore. So you might have new rosin in your case. I do not know. What I do is I take my screw part and the rosin and I just kind of scratch it a little bit, just so that it gets a little bit more rough. The reason I do that is because it kind of builds up a little powder, and it also makes it easier for the boa hairs to grab onto it. So when I'm rosining my bow, oh, you just go just a few times. 1, 2, 3. And you might have one that is in like a block of wood, and you just do the same thing, scratch it. They all look different. And if you don't have one, that's okay too. You don't need it yet. You actually don't even need to rosin your bow yet, so don't like practice doing that. You don't want to get too much. So, but I'm going to tell you why we rosin our bows. So I don't have to tell you later. It's great. Basically, if you think about friction, which is like when two surfaces rub together, if I had no friction in my hands at all, they would just like nothing. They just go right apart. If I pretend that it's kind of, my hands are rougher, kind of like sandpaper or something, and I were to have some pressure on them and like do that, it'd go. And basically what we're doing with our bow is we're making it stickier. That's what the rosin is for. It makes it sticky, so that way when you put it on the string, it can grip, kind of like sandpaper. So it grips the string, and as you pull it, the string is like, it's biting against it, so it goes boom. I'll show you a slow version of this. What it basically does, it goes. So basically, every time I go, the string is vibrating, right? So when you keep pulling it with a consistent speed, that'll be important later, consistent speed. What happens is the string, it might at first be kind of like, but then eventually it'll create a nice, what's the word? Nice even vibration, and that's what creates the sound. And I will tell you more about that later in our next lesson perhaps, or when we start actually using the bow. But you might be able to see it on the camera, so I'm gonna try and show you what it looks like. Sometimes on cameras, you can actually see the strings going whoa, 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 because the camera can't actually capture the speed at which it vibrates. It vibrates so fast that the cameras can't even like catch it all. So it literally takes like each image and you can kind of see it. So I don't know if you, because you're going to be watching this video on YouTube, if you find the button that like slows things down and you rewatch that part, you might be able to see it. Let me see if it does it differently on a different string. Oh, it's hard to do at an angle. Yes, so there you go. That is the parts of the bow. And, you know, what the heck, why not? We're gonna learn how to hold the bow. So you can start working on that. This is great. So I'm holding my bow like this, but I'm not really touching the hairs, and I try not to touch the hairs either. Sometimes you touch a little bit, and you can see my bow, it's all dirty right here because I always accidentally touch that part. But you know, this side's pretty good, and that's the part we actually play with. But this side I always bump and whatever. So we have our frog eye, and we have our two fingers. So what I like to do first, rock on, right? That looks funny because I'm dead. We cover the frog eye, and then see this right here, this little piece of wood that hangs over this frog. You put your pinky on there. So you're covering the frog eye. You put your pinky on the tail. You can put it over here. Ugh, I can't do it anymore. You can put your pinky over here for now if you'd like, but in the future, we'll just move it over here. It's not a big deal either way, how you'd like to do it. And then what I do is this finger grip, where do you think your index finger is gonna go? On the finger grip. So it's kind of like I'm doing this, and then I turn it to the side. Oh, frog eyes, oh, there we go. So now you can see my whole hand is not straight up and down. It is at an angle. It's all tilted to the side, and that's how you want it. And now the other part, I'm going to show you my thumb individually. What you want is you take your thumb, kind of like a claw. The dancers are screaming on the dance floor. I don't know if you can hear that. Anyway, so you have your thumb all crazy like, and you're just going to take it and put it right there. This is the only part of you that's allowed to touch the bow hairs. I don't know if I can show you. See, it's barely touching. You put it right here, like a claw. There we go. And now, guess what comes next? Oh, look it, we still have our secret sign. Oh, okay. Like that. Rock on, pinky, index finger. You can kind of do that in any order you want, just as long as they're all in the right place. There we go. Oh, look at that. And now, once you have that, that's going to take some real practice getting used to. So you can literally, if you don't have time to practice, or you don't want to practice loudly because there's people at the house or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I just want to be alone. I don't know what your life is. But you can just grab your bow, or a pencil even. This is how, when I was learning, and I was in class and I couldn't like actually have my violin out or my bow or anything, I would just practice on a pencil like this. Woo. My thumb is bent and everything. And so I'm going to show you with the pencil first. What we're going to do is we're going to take our bow, and these are called window washers or window wipers. You just go just back and forth. With a pencil, that really doesn't do anything. But with a bow, which is heavier, oh, you can feel the weight change. That'll come into play later. But yes, feel the weight change. Boom, boom, boom. So just practice that a little bit. And then if you feel so inclined, let me see if I can back up and show you. Gotta back up very far. Oh, there's a chair. So I don't know if you can tell, my arm is staying still. And I'm drawing circles in the air. Now I'll show you up close what I'm doing. These are called pinky petals. So I'm just pushing my pinky out and drawing it back in. And I am using my index finger a bit too. I'm using my whole hand really, but this is just kind of mostly what I'm doing. And you're doing this with all with your right hand. So make sure you're doing this with your right hand. I should have said that earlier, but you probably figured that out because it makes sense, because you know what you're doing. So anyway, just practice that a little bit. That's easier to start off with a pencil, but do the window wipers. Yes, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned something, and I'm really glad that we got to do that over the video lesson, because that will save us a whole bunch of time in class, or in our lesson, I guess. So I will see you in a week. Enjoy, have a wonderful week, and I hope you feel better. All right, bye.